Hi and welcome back. In today's episode, we're going to take a look at how we can use the string parse action in Crossplay to create custom parameters that can be used throughout the playbook. And so what this action is really capable of is taking in a string input, which could be stringified JSON or an XML string, or even just any regular string that you can parse with the regex. And it gives you the ability to parse out specific values, which could be like an IP address or something like that. So let's see how we can actually do this. So what I've done here is I've set up a playbook already, so we could take a look at a few different examples. So the first example here is using the string parser action to parse out JSON. And what I'm using here is just the webhook trigger so that we can send in some strings to test this all out. So the first string that I'll be sending in is going to be stringified JSON. And what I'm using here is what's called a JSONPath. If you just Google JSONPath, you should be able to kind of find some information on how you can kind of grab values out of a JSON blob. And so what I'm going to get out of the JSON is I'm trying to get the first book's title. And let me show you an example of that JSON so you can see what I'm trying to do here. So this is the JSON I'll be passing in. And we see we have this wrapping store group here, and then we also have a set of books. And so what I'm trying to grab out is just this book's, the Sayings of the Century book's title. So this is kind of the expression I'm going to use to do that. And so that should just pull out that title value. For the XML, I'm actually going to do the exact same thing. If we look here, I have the same data set, but in XML format. So now what I'm trying to pull out here is the same title here, and we do this using the Xpath. So let me actually go to the update view so we can see what this looks like when we're actually updating the playbook. So for the first one, I actually used the JSON format. For this one, I'm going to set the format to XML, and this is the Xpath. And if you Google Xpath, same as the JSON path, you can find out the syntax to do this. So what I'm doing is I'm going into store, I'm grabbing the first book, and then I'm grabbing its title attribute. And so these are the ways that I can pull that value out of the JSON and the XML. I also have a string that has this data that I've kind of put together, because not all data is always structured in JSON or XML format. And so I'm going to try and grab out that same field, the title field of the first book, using a regex. So what I've done here is I've kind of just done a regex text tester here so I can pull out this first title. So these are kind of three different ways that we can use a string parser, and some really cool things that you can do with it are using, typically a lot of API requests will return XML or JSON responses, and this is a great way to be able to extract those values out and then use them throughout the playbook. So now that I've pulled out the values, I've just set up an email action here. You can use them in other forms as well, but just to kind of show what those values are, I've just put them in the string body of my email message here. So now we can go ahead and actually trigger this. And so I'm going to trigger this just using a REST API request since I used the webhook trigger. And now let's go actually take a look at what happened. So we come over to plays. We can see the play of what happened here. And we can see that I sent in this string blob, and it looks like we have pulled out just the sayings of the century, and we've done the same for the other actions as well. And we can see that we got an email with these three titles. So this is the best way for you to kind of extract out string values that can be passed on to other actions in the playbook. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more episodes on how to make your IT operations efficient.